Greetings! I'm so happy you're with me today. We are working another psalm spell today, and we are on Psalm 119, Pay. And this one is traditionally used for divine guidance. So whenever you're wondering what to do or which way to turn, if you're confused, if you need help, Pay from Psalm 119 is excellent for that, for divine guidance. All right, and the way that we do this is very simple. The formula is that we read the psalm through all the way once without stopping, and that's the incantation. And then we go back through the psalm and we take it verse by verse, line by line, sometimes word by word, and we hunt for inner meanings, and through the hunting and then contemplation of those inner meanings, those seeds of wisdom, those seeds of magic are planted deep into our mind, and they literally take root into the fertile earth of our deep mind, the mother goddess of our deep mind, and they grow forth and they bear fruit after their kind. All right, so here we go. Psalm 119, Pay. Thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. The entrance of thy words giveth light. It giveth understanding unto the simple. I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. Look upon me and be merciful unto me, as thou usest to do unto those that love thy name. Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. Deliver me from the oppression of man, so I will keep thy precepts. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. Rivers of waters run down my eyes, because they keep not thy law. All right, so thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. Well, who is the thy? First of all, we have to remember that we are addressing the Lord of the Psalms. The Lord is the supreme. There's one power. So there's not a deity that's separate from us. It's a power. It's the power. There's nothing to thwart it. There's only one. There's one power of life, and that's what's beating your heart right now. And that's what we are. Who we are addressing, and that's what the Psalms calls the Lord or God. Thy testimonies are wonderful. Well, what are the testimonies of God? Well, a testimony is your version of the truth. Your when you give a testimony in a court, that's the truth as you understand it. So the truth of God is the ultimate truth. So the truth of God is wonderful. So there's nothing to be afraid of in hearing the truth of God. That's why Jesus said that the truth will make you free. The only time that the truth of God doesn't seem wonderful is if you're relating yourself to those ego thoughts, which are trying to be separate and distinct from the truth of God. So thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. So your soul keeping the testimonies of God is true. Your soul has no choice but to keep the testimonies of God, because your soul is one with God. But your mind, your deep mind connected to your soul, also needs to keep the testimonies of God. And the only way to do that is through practice. The entrance of thy words giveth light. It giveth understanding unto the simple. So the entrance of thy words. So when the words of God come to enter us, it brings us light. So what's the word? What are the words of God? Well, the word of God is the creative impulse of God. It's God's will. The will of God brings us light. That's good to remember, and you can remember that always. You can just use that little affirmation anytime you need some help. Just the entrance of thy words giveth light, or your will brings me light. It giveth understanding unto the simple. So even though you don't understand what's going on, even though you can't understand what's going on, because the infinite intelligence is far beyond our ken as mortal minds here. So even though you don't understand what's going on, you will have understanding. You can't get the understanding yourself. It comes through the light of God. It comes through that God's will. I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. So your mouth is where your breath comes in and out. It's where your words come in and out, and it's where your nourishment comes in, right? So your words come out of your mouth, the nourishment comes into your mouth, and your breath comes in and out of your mouth. So your mouth is a very important symbol in the psalm. So I opened my mouth and panted. When you pant, it means that you have something is causing you either pain or pleasure. There's something that's upsetting the status quo within your daily life. So I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. So the status quo that's upsetting you is a good thing, because it's reminding you that you're longing for the commandments of God. And the commandments of God simply are the reminder of you to contemplate what the qualities of God are. So let's think of a quality of God. What is infinite life? So think of that for a moment, what infinite life is. Think of what's causing your heart to beat right now. Just feel that power. Feel the power that's causing your heart to beat. Feel the power that's causing you to take another breath. You could try to not breathe for a while, but you can't help it, because the life principle is stronger than your ego. So you can't thwart the life principle. The life principle is bigger than you, but it is who you are. Okay. Look thou upon me and be merciful unto me. So when God looks upon you, again, God doesn't not look at you, but when we have the experience of God looking upon us, it gives us a sense that we are one with God. And when we have that sense that we are one with God, we recognize that God is merciful. And remember, mercy is that fourth sphere on the tree of life. That's the sphere of Jupiter, and that sphere of Jupiter is benevolence. So be merciful unto me, and as thou usest to do unto those that love thy name. So I have trust that when you look upon me, that you're going to give me everything good. I have no doubt in my mind that everything good comes from you. And to love his name, her name, its name, to love the name of the Lord is to love the nature of the Lord. Again, infinite life, infinite love, infinite truth, infinite substance, infinite spirit, infinite soul. I'm a sunbeam to the sun, right? Infinite principle, 2 + 2 = 4, no matter what, always. Infinite principle. So infinite truth, there's one truth. There's only one truth. All right? So that's what loving thy name means, is to remember the nature of God and to love the nature of God. Order my steps in thy word. So God's word is God's will. So God's will, when we say order my steps, that's giving permission to that reorganizing force in the universe to change the way I respond, to change the circumstances in my life, to show me where to go, what to do, how to be. Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. So take away everything that is unlike you from me, because God doesn't have iniquity, right? So order my steps and take away all of the problems that are of my own vain imaginings. Deliver me from the oppression of man, so will I keep thy precepts. The oppression of man is called the race consciousness. That's an old metaphysical and magical term. It doesn't mean race consciousness, meaning black, white, Asian. It doesn't mean race like that. It means humankind. It means the species. So we could say species instead of race. So the species consciousness or species remembrance. That's probably easier for people to take these days, because race is such a hot button. But just understand that there's an actual term called race consciousness. It doesn't mean races of individual races within humankind. It means the entire race of man. So that's what that means. So deliver me from the oppression of man, all of the group mind of the species. Deliver me from that. So I'm not keeping in step with the group consciousness of the human species, both past and present, and be out of habit, right? I'm not just going along with it. So deliver me from the oppression of man, so I will keep thy precepts. So instead of thinking in terms of the race consciousness, I'm keeping the precepts of God, thinking in terms of the qualities of God. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. The face of God is the face of anything is how you recognize it. You recognize anything by its face. So the face of God, you recognize God by the qualities of God, and the qualities of God shine upon you because you're God's servant. To serve God simply means to serve the good in your life and in any situation. To serve the good rather than the vain imaginings from your own mind or from the race consciousness. Teach me thy statutes. Again, teach me, teach me, teach me. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to be, but you do, and I'm willing to hear. I'm willing to learn. Rivers of water let's try that again. Rivers of waters run down mine eyes, because they keep not thy law. So I get really, really sad looking at, and the reason why I'm sad, the reason why I'm upset, the reason why things don't work for me is because of the parts of myself that are not keeping God's laws, meaning are not remembering who I am, why I'm here, are not thinking in terms of the infinite. We're thinking in terms of vain imaginings. Okay, so if I'm upset, if rivers of waters are running down mine eyes, it's because I'm not keeping those laws. And keeping those laws is not the commandments, like the 10 Commandments necessarily, although it can be. But for us, keeping the laws means meditating and contemplating and bringing with us and being aware of the qualities of God, no matter what's going on around us. Because those qualities of God, if we have those be our focus, then the circumstances in our lives have to change. They must. It's law. All right, well, this was very helpful for me. I hope it was helpful for you as well. If you're ever confused and you need some help from the spiritual realms, you can come back to this psalm again and again and notice the difference in your attitude when you have finished working this psalm, and you will get a clear understanding of how this magic is working. All right, well, this has been great, and I can't wait for the next time that we get to spend together. And until that time, blessed be.